Well, hi, folks. Thanks for tuning in and welcome to the stream. Today, I have a very special presentation of my pine pollen harvesting. And so I'm very excited to present this to you. Not a lot of people know that pine pollen actually contains testosterone. And so I am going to talk a little bit about the experience that I've had with men taking this as a testosterone supplement and kind of show you how my process has been harvesting it. So first of all, I have brought a branch from the tree that I got this from. Now, this is kind of how you spot these pollen pods. They grow upright like this, and you'll see, you can kind of see from a distance, you'll be able to see the light green starting to grow up in a tree. And also the pines, different species will do or pollinate at different times of year, just depending on what species they are. I don't actually know what species this is. I believe that this is some type of hybrid, that this is possibly like a Scotch pine, but I'm not sure. That's why I kind of wanted to show everybody just the pine part, because if you wanted to look into it, it looks like there's quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it looks like there's about 12 in that one little bunch. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 in that little bunch. So yeah, I'll have to do a little research, but there's only a few trees around the coast that do this fall time pollinating. Most of them do it in the springtime, and most are quite a bit smaller than this. The ones in the springtime are about the same height, but they have a bunch of pollen pods coming off of the one bunch, and it actually looks like a berry. Looks like a big old um, berry. It's a pine berry. But yeah, so these are very green, and kind of the stage that you want to start harvesting. I was a few days late because I saw a bunch, and they kind of go at different times on even just one tree. So, like the side that has a lot of sun will start drying out in the sun earlier, and they'll start opening up. And I will show you what these pods look like. All right. So here is a pod that has just started opening up. And they slowly start opening until they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they just fall from the tree, kind of open and pollinate everywhere. I got a few that were starting to open up. You try its best to get ones that are not open at all, because that is the best way to get pure pollen. Bugs love this stuff and will, on an open pod like this, they will, start eating some of it. And there could be bugs within this partially open pod here. So, um, I I got some of the partially open ones because I don't really care. We put the pollen into like a brandy, so you make basically a tincture out of it after it is all done, and that way you preserve the pollen for a longer period of time. Pollen is very susceptible to moisture, and so it will mold very quickly. And if you don't keep it dry um, or immediately put it into a tincture, it's going to go bad. So you either have to freeze it dry or put it into a tincture immediately. So this was my first setup that I started doing, and what this actually is a it's for sprouting, like live sprouting, um, sprouts, like broccoli sprouts or something. And so it has two mesh portions here that have mesh on the bottom, and then this is the catchment portion down here. So I got this to do sprouts in, but it works really good for drying out pollen because, I can take these and shake them as they're drying out, and it'll all sift to the bottom of the catchment portion here. And it has a little lid. Now I got so much pollen um, yesterday. So last night was when I harvested, and like I said, I was a few days late. I probably should have gone like Friday and started pulling pods, but it was a busy weekend. I didn't get to it. So here we are. um, and yeah, so I have a big setup in my bathroom. I'll just tell you about it because I mean, really, this is all sort of trial and error, trying to figure out the best way. I set up these racks over my bathtub, so I have kind of a platform over my bathtub, and then I set up sheets of parchment paper, and then I had a screen that we put on a frame, and that's sitting over the parchment paper, and I'm going to be putting the pollen pods all over the top of that to get to dry out a larger quantity at one time. So that's what I'm doing today, and I have a bunch of pollen pods that I need to pull the pine needles off. You don't want anything but just the pod. So I got to clean those up today and set them out on the bathroom rack. But I just wanted to show you my sprouting tray and how I do it because that works really well. The next thing that I wanted to show you guys is what the pollen actually looks like. So I have a microscope here, and I'm going to show you if I can get it in frame. So they are like hearts or Mickey's head. Mickey's head, I think, is like the best way to describe them. You can see that each one has like two big lumps on the side. Yeah, so that is just the plain old pollen. Um, and yeah, interesting, huh? So I think it's funny how it looks a lot like the Mickey head. Because I mean, Mickey Mouse doesn't look like a mouse. He has like a weird shaped head, and a lot of the Mickey stuff just have that double hump in the head. And Walt Disney was like obsessed with longevity, and he even had himself cryogenically frozen in hopes that someday they would be able to uh, come up with the cure for longevity and bring him back. So I just think it's interesting. He might have known something about the pollen. So, what is pine pollen? And how is it a testosterone supplement? Well, basically, it does contain testosterone, as well as a bunch of other micronutrients that our bodies can be depleted of. And I have known a lot of men that are a little bit, older, over 50, over 40, over 50, that have low testosterone and their bodies just aren't producing it like they used to. Um, I had looked into the testosterone supplements and refused to let my husband take any of them because the side effects were so awful. And then now learning even more about the testosterone supplements um, coming from the people that have taken them, and coming from the medical field, it basically, when you take a testosterone supplement from the doctor, it replaces your body's like testosterone, and so you actually begin making less testosterone. Your body does, and it becomes dependent on this supplement. So unlike that, the pollen helps your body to create its own testosterone. So basically, you take it for a certain amount of time, like you take the pollen for maybe a couple months. And then once you feel like your body is normalized again as far as your hormones go, you stop taking it, and then your body would continue to make that higher amount of testosterone. So, uh, I've tested this on my husband. So, I don't have that many test subjects. I do have a warning for any women that would consider taking pollen. I did have a friend who took a bunch of pollen, and she did start growing some whiskers on her chin. So I I don't take it because I don't want to grow a beard. But yeah, it's an amazing superfood. It has DNA from the tree from its whole life. And so yeah, I just wanted to basically share my pollen pod, and also kind of to keep a record for myself of when I harvested and what I got and all that stuff. So anyways, I think that is about it. Um and yeah, oh, I will be trying to live sprout now that I have fresh pollen. I'm going to try to live sprout it, which is what the pollen does inside of the pine cone. Because I believe, I mean, the little shape that it's in is actually like a hard um, outer shell, and it has air in it, which is and it could even be electrostatic because it literally flies around, like even in the tray when you have a bunch of pollen, it like floats around like very strangely. So, but I think that when you're live sprouting it, it may break open the outer shell that's around the pollen and make what's inside of it more bioavailable. So, I will be doing some trials trying to get it to live sprout. And if I do succeed, I will definitely do a follow up video. But I wanted to get that out and let you guys know I'm at the coast. So, as we go inland in Oregon, you will be having these. Um, Pollinate at a later date. We have a cooler temperature here at the coast, so that's why we get a sooner and quicker pollination date. So if you guys still want to get pollen, then there's a chance that in your area there might be some trees. And just remember to keep a lookout for these things that go up. They all point straight up. And so you're going to look for bright light green, when you're kind of scanning the trees. If they're dark green and they have a bunch of brown in them, they're old, they've already pollinated. If they have green with bright green, then you got some fresh growth there and possibly some pollen pods. So take a closer look to what's around you. And this is abundant. God's given it to us for free in abundance. And so I wanted to share what God's shared with me with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. This is my little tray of pollen that I've gotten so far. It's not much, but a lot more to come. So, well, thanks again for watching the video, and we will see you next time.